Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this morning's live stream. So today, guys, we are giving an emergency World War III update with regards to the conflict in Ukraine. Now, there's been a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, not even behind the scenes, actually, that's false. There's been a lot of stuff happening with regards to Ukraine, but there's been absolutely zero headlining of this stuff on the mainstream media. People are fixated on migration. People are fixated on Angela Rayner. Did she pay enough council tax? Honestly, guys, I couldn't care less at this point if Angela Rayner paid enough council tax. You know, I mean, I would speculate that most MPs are all quaking in their boots because I think at some point, at somewhere, most of them will be on some sort of not shady dealing because it's all legal. But what I want to focus on tonight, not tonight, this afternoon, well, this morning even, is the conflict in Ukraine. Now, headline, well, it wasn't even a headline, but I'm leading with an article from the Sky News that was posted this morning 9 minutes ago. Ukraine war latest: Putin threatens to strike foreign troops in Ukraine as he issues undesirable invitation to Zelensky. Now, this comes at a time where the United States, the Americans, are changing and again, I said this was going to happen, you know, the other day when they moved the, when the US, when Trump was doing a surprise announcement. I don't know if you get, in fact, go back, it's on YouTube. I said, listen, I think what this announcement is going to be, I think Donald Trump is going to announce that they're rebranding the Department of Defense to the Department of War, which is also happening in the United States. So what you've got to understand now, you've got to put all this into context. The conflict in Ukraine, it's not slowed down. It's just being, you know, the Russians are continuing to push. They're continuing to take more ground each and every day. It was yesterday. And again, guys, listen, I do think I'm going to have to start doing standalone videos again on YouTube. The reason I started to do the live streams is just because it was easier for me and I could get all that information out to you guys. I could do it in live. I could do it live. You guys could ask questions in real time. It was done. What's happening now is, especially on YouTube, the chat, like last night, guys, and the chat's been going absolutely bonkers, especially on YouTube. And it's very difficult to deal with. So basically, I'm trying to get these messages out, answering your questions while being a bouncer to the people in the chat, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. So what I think I'm going to start doing in the day is those little things that I miss. I'm going to start putting them as standalone videos on YouTube. So I will be doing starting the standalone videos on YouTube again. Anyway, so this comes as one of Vladimir Putin's I can't remember who it was. The name eludes me. I closed the screen down by mistake. But basically what he's done is he's called David Lammy the English idiot. And, you know, you kind of can't, it's very difficult to disagree with that analysis. You know, when you look at David Lammy and you look at his Russian opposite number, Sergei Lavrov, there really is no comparison in intellect and capacity. I mean, like, you're literally sending a wolf against like a hedgehog or something. Not even a hedgehog. At least hedgehog's like prickly and a wolf might not want to eat it. You're sending like a wolf, being Sergei Lavrov, against like, you know, a hamster during the end of its time. There's no comparison, you know, if you have to, you know, choose two people's capacity. And that's kind of one of the problems with Western politics. We have this system that's set up very short term, whereas, you know, people, Russian politics, you know, certainly is set up whereby they can play the long game. They can say, right, you know what, 10 years, these guys will be over. 20 years, we'll wait 20 years and then we'll do this again. Let's just put it into context, ladies and gentlemen. The first British Prime Minister a lot of people don't realize this. The first, you may need to sit down for this. The first British Prime Minister that Vladimir Putin shook hands with was Tony Blair. That's how long Vladimir Putin's been in office. So, you know, he can play that long game. He can build those trusted, you know, that trusted network around him. So, you know, they're two very different systems. Whereas here in the United Kingdom, here in the West, you know, we are looking at a 4-year block. Right, we've got 4 years. We just need to get elected at the next election. And that's the only direction they can look at. You know, and that's why, you know, I'm, like I said, I'm not writing Labour off. You know, he could do a smithering. But anyway, sorry, guys, let me continue. Vladimir Putin has invited Volodymyr Zelensky for peace talks in Moscow, again, as he attempts to show he's open to ending the conflict while continuing to strike Ukraine. So listen, guys, this is a question. I'm not going to pass judgment on this. What do you think would be the security arrangements for Zelensky if he went to Moscow to meet Putin? I just, you know, I don't know. I just think, personally, yeah, I said I wouldn't. I said I wasn't going to weigh in. Personally, I think that is so far off the spectrum. You know, they must be laughing about it. But again, it's one of these rhetoric things that I said was going to happen. You know, this can will keep getting pushed down the road. Oh, it'll be next week. Oh, why don't you come here? You'll be totally safe. You know, saying these things that are just totally unachievable. And most of the Western media, especially the liberal Western media, they'll be jumping on this saying, oh, look, Zelensky's refused the peace talk with Putin. And then Putin was saying, yes, of course, I proposed peace negotiation with Zelensky, but he did not turn up. So I don't know. He is refusing to talk with me. I want to talk to him, of course, but he will not come. You know, so that's the situation. You know, it's unbelievable. And look, ladies and gentlemen, I'll keep saying this. I'll keep saying it time and time again. There is no the ground does not dictate, the ground in Ukraine at the moment does not dictate anyone having a ceasefire. You can't do it, guys, okay? You can't do it. Right, I'm just going to give you a quick update of what's been happening in the last hour with regards to an emergency World War III update, guys. So Russia launches more than 150 drones and missiles at Ukraine overnight. Remember, guys, listen, I don't know, again, you know, I do need to do standalone videos on this. I really do, because this is coming back into the fore. One of the things I was talking about on a previous live stream is the capacity now for the Russians to build their own Shahed drones. That's giving them the capacity now, as we've just seen, to launch waves of 150. As I understand it, the biggest one, I think the biggest wave was a couple of months, like last month, and I think that was like 500 and something. It was a combination between drones and missiles. Now, if you think about radar, you know, if you think about Western munitions, they're all geared up to taking down one big threat. 150, and you know, a lot of these maybe decoys. It's very difficult when you're using an arrow formation. You overwhelm those air defenses. The air defenses fail. Then you send your big missiles, so the air defense is pointless. We've done that one. Analysis. If Europe thought it took one step forward, Putin has marched them 2 steps back. Ladies and gentlemen, like, I don't know why this is not getting the media coverage that it deserves, because if you live in the United Kingdom right now, this is going to be your main intent. This is going to be everybody. This is going to affect everybody. I need to, guys, I really need to start doing standalone videos again. I'm missing so much when I'm doing the live streams. You know, I'm answering questions. I'm being a bouncer, you know, especially on the YouTube chat. So it's very difficult. So I am going to start doing standalone YouTube videos where I can get through all these points and articulate them. If Europe thought it had taken one step forward yesterday on the issue of security guarantees for Ukraine, this was Vladimir Putin marching them 2 steps back. The only guarantees that there is still no common ground. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't mean to keep going over things I've said. There is no hope of any ceasefire until, well, two scenarios. One, the Russians leave Ukraine, or two, the Russians make it up to the River Dnipro. Now, I don't think the Russians are going to leave Ukraine, so that leaves one option. Foreign troops would be a legitimate target for destruction, Putin said, shooting down a consensus achieved yesterday's meeting of the Coalition of the Willing. In Paris, 26 nations pledged to contribute an international force ensuring Kiev's future protection. Again, guys, listen, this is one of the things I wanted to talk about last night on the live stream. There was so much happening yesterday. The chat was going crazy. I realized I was like at 52 minutes and I'd not done half of the stuff I wanted to get through. So I am definitely going to have to start doing standalone videos on YouTube. But there is still one nation that objects. If decisions are reached that lead to peace, to long-term peace, then I simply do not see any sense in Western troops' presence in the territory of Ukraine. Full stop, Putin said. I kind of agree with that. You know, I kind of agree with what Putin's saying, but I believe it's a turn on words. Now, what Putin's saying there is, if we are to have peace, you can't have troops involved. And I totally understand that, guys. You know, I totally understand that. This comes from, what's his name? Defense Secretary. Somebody tell me what the Defense Secretary's name is. John Healey. So John Healey was saying, you know, John Healey did an interview, and he said, yes, you know, if there is a peace deal, we are going to send boots on the ground to enforce that peace. And I was like, just what you're saying doesn't make sense. So look, guys, just real quick before we continue, just put yourself in that scenario, okay? There's a peace deal, right? There's a ceasefire, and you send troops in to enforce that ceasefire. Like, what are they going to do if people start shooting? How do you enforce a ceasefire without firing? You see what I'm getting at, guys? How do you send troops to enforce a ceasefire? Right, you guys stop shooting. Why? What are you going to do? Well, we're going to shoot back at you. Okay, well, we'll shoot back at you more. Right, okay, then. Like, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. And look, I'm saying this as someone who's got a lot of experience in the military. I've got a lot of experience out in more than most. I would say I'm better qualified. You know what, guys? I would say I'm better qualified than everyone in the current sitting government to talk about the conflict in Ukraine. So it makes no sense. So in that context, I do agree with Putin. Now, the counter argument to that is, right, Vladimir, statistically, all these peace negotiations, Minsk 1, Minsk 2, you know, these have never held. And I know they've never held as well, because if you guys can remember, I was out in Ukraine when 2014, 2015, 2016, 17, 18, 19. And I don't think anybody's under any illusions. The Minsk 2 ceasefire never held. It never even started. Hang on, there's just been a live update. Give me a second, guys. Hang on, guys. This is just updated. Give me a second. Right, 2 minutes ago. Russia says it's ready to discuss issue of US fuel at captured nuclear power plant. What does that mean? Russia has said it's prepared to discuss the issue of US fuel at the captured Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant with an American company. Reports in Russia's state media say that the head of Rosatom, Russian Atomic Energy, I guess. Oh yeah, the state atomic energy company was willing to talk with the US business Westinghouse. Right, okay. Right, okay, so I think that's Moscow. Reports in Moscow have just come out saying that they're willing to talk to the United States. I think this would be about uranium, potentially. I don't know, guys. They're just saying fuel, but obviously they're not talking about petrol or diesel. At the captured Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. So I think they're talking about atomic fuel there. Anyway, sorry, guys. Let me continue. So, wow, have we done that? Right, so what has the Kremlin been saying? Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov spoke to Russian state media this morning. Here's what he's been saying, according to Russian state media. North Korean soldiers in Russia. In the week, Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un both traveled to Beijing. Peskov said that North Korean soldiers are not being deployed in Ukraine. Now, that would be counter to what we've heard. Again, they may be on the border, they may be helping with drones, we don't know. But what we do know is that they are involved somehow. The leader of Moscow and Pyongyang, or whatever it is, sat down for talks, which Kim vowed to help Putin however he could, raising the specter of further troops being sent to fight in Ukraine. North Korea has sent an estimated 15,000 soldiers since the war to the war already, with them being deployed in the Kursk region in Iraq. Okay, yeah. So they're being deployed in the Kursk region. So they're being used, I guess, as home defense. Now, that Kursk region of Ukraine, of Russia, guys, nothing. I've not seen anything. I've not seen anything to give me this speculation that I'm giving you. I'm giving you this speculation now with looking at circumstantial evidence. So, the Kursk region of Russia, there's a huge nuclear power plant there, guys. I mean, it's massive. Like, it's really big. It's a massive power plant. There's no strategic value in the Ukrainians holding that ground unless there's something there. Now, the Ukrainians have been operating in that area for a long time. They're obviously trying to facilitate something in that region. Now, what we do know, what I know personally, is when you get these nuclear power plants, these big nuclear power plants, the amount of energy that they can draw is huge. So I'm thinking about ground-based lasers. I'm thinking about non-nuclear EMPs. I'm thinking about whatever else, these scientists can, conjure up in their brains that use a lot of energy. And one of the things I also said is the Kursk region in Ukraine, in Russia, that is if ever there was going to be another nuclear bomb used in a war, that was the perfect place to use it, guys. It ticked all the boxes for Putin. It wasn't in Ukraine, so nobody could say that, the Russians are using nuclear weapons in Ukraine, because they weren't. You wouldn't need a complicated delivery method. So people think that, it's, you can just get a nuclear bomb and put it on a missile and off you go. You can't, guys. There's a lot of engineering going behind that. There's a lot of testing, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. You need to do a lot of testing before you do that. There's materials that decay over time. So with the Kursk region, literally what you could have done, you could have drove a nuclear weapon in on the back of a truck, had all your engineers around it, literally, right, click that button, right, that's going to do, right, and then gone. Literally, that you would have had, and if it didn't go off, nobody would have known about it. Nobody would have known about it. It wouldn't be an embarrassment. So in that context, it didn't happen. Now, I've given you my reasons why I think that is, but that was the prime time for it to happen. Ukrainians strike Russian oil refinery overnight. Yeah, okay. Right, and Zelensky's to meet more allies today. Guys, this is moving forwards ridiculously. I don't know why this is not on the headlines in the United Kingdom right now. I mean, if you look at the headlines in the UK, we're all worried about, Angela Rayner's taxes. And honestly, guys, I genuinely, guys, right now I couldn't care less about whether Angela Rayner skipped 40 grand or not. I mean, 40 grand is a lot of money. In the grand scheme of things, it's not even a gimbal to a drone. It's nothing, Right, I'm going to jump up and get the questions, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, guys, I'm on now. You guys know what we're talking about. Emergency update, World War III, Ukraine, Putin threatening to strike foreign troops in Ukraine. He's saying he's saying if foreign troops come into Ukraine, they are a legitimate target, and I can't deny that, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to take yourself on the Russian side. They are a legitimate target. They would be 100% a legitimate target. At some point, this is going to happen. I just think I just think people are pussyfooting around at the moment. Like you guys, if you ask your generals, if you ask a military commander, are you ready? This is what answer you'll get. Yes, but we could be more ready. And then you'll say, what do you mean by that? Well, we could do a little bit more training. We could have more ammunition. We need better. We need newer weapon systems. So at the military level, they will always say they're ready, but they'll always say they need more time. That's why these delays happen. Right. Sorry, guys. Let me jump up and get these questions. Comments, sorry. Close that up. Close that down. Right. I'm just going to get these questions, guys. Hang on. Right. Where are we? Right. King Agamemnon's joining. Leanne, Treasures from the North. Krish, White Manx, Gary France, Mazza, Nobody, Diva, Jose, lots of people joining, guys. I'm gonna skip down and get the questions. Lisui is saying morning, Sean, morning to you. Betty Penny's saying morning. Hope you're well. I am indeed. Marie Gen X is saying good morning. Thank you for sharing the live. Lots of people sharing the live this morning. Thank you so much. Debbie 1973 saying good morning, everyone. So is Geordie Lee. Debbie Doobs, UK Veterans, is saying hi. Paul Reefin is saying hi, mate. Hope you're good. Day tossing it off today. Might go to the gym, might not. Get your fitness up, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody should get their fitness up. I've not been training for a while. I went for a run the other day. I think Sunday. I think it was Sunday. Was it Sunday? I think it was Sunday. First run I've had for a while. I thought my left leg was going to fall off. UK Veterans is saying shouldn't go to Moscow. I would say that as well. I would say for Zelensky, it's going to be a big security risk if he goes to Moscow. Sharon Owen is saying good morning to you. Debbie Doobs has got a long, boring weekend as hubby has gone Santa Pod. I don't know what Santa Pod is. Is he training to be a Father Christmas guy? UK Veterans is saying we call David Lammy that as well in response to the Russians calling David Lammy an English idiot. I think the best analogy, listen, and this is not me saying this, so I don't want to get Lucy Conley. What's his name? The Reform MP. Is it Les Daniels or something? Les David? I don't know. Les Andrews. Is it Les Andrews? I can't remember. The Reform MP. He was talking about David Lammy and he said, it was comedy genius. He said, if you get all, he said, like, there's like 326 villages in the United Kingdom. This is what the reform. And is it Les Andrews? I can't remember. But basically, he said there's 326 villages in the United Kingdom. If you got all the village idiots and put them into one village, David Lammy would still be the village idiot. So, I thought it was quite funny. Coral Reef, and he's saying Lavrov is a massive, and then he's put a bell and an N. Whatever you think of Sergei Lavrov, he is a very competent political operator, and he ties people up unbelievably. He really does tie people up. It's unbelievable. Debbie Doobs is saying 25 years, he's going nowhere soon. Yeah, so we're talking about Putin. The first British Prime Minister that he met was Tony Blair. So you think that's how long he's been in power. So, these plans that people are trying to hatch, you get in day one in the office and you start to hatch that plan. Remember, a lot of these aspects of subversion, they take a long time to put into place, so, and these are the time frames that people just, like, here in the West, we just totally play lip service to. Do you think Angela Rayner right now is thinking about what she's going to be doing in 25 years' time? Absolutely not. She's probably struggling to get the graffiti off outside her garden wall. And look, guys, I genuinely, I think that was, I think that is uncalled for. I really do. I don't think people should be graffitiing people's houses. It's just distasteful for me. But I know some people are doing it because it's happening. Debbie Doobs is saying, surely it's dangerous for Zelensky to go to Moscow. I would say so as well. UK Veterans is saying that's like Churchill going to Berlin in 1943. Yeah, exactly it is. Who just subscribed? Somebody's just subscribed. Give me... Debbie Doobs, thank you for your continued subscription, and all the subscribers, guys. Thank you so much. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on now, there has been we are giving an emergency World War III update with regards to Ukraine. I don't know why this is not making the mainstream. I mean, it is making the mainstream, but you have to look for it. I don't know why this is not making headlines. People are more fixated on, you know, what's her name? Big trousers, hang on, guys. Hello. Yeah, can I phone you back in a bit? I'm just on a live stream. All right, thank you. Bye. Sorry, guys. My sister. Right, Sarah, thank you so much as well for your subscription. Thank you so much. Guys, so many people subscribing this morning. Thank you so much. Right, let me jump up and get these comments. Right, I do apologize. Have we done that one? Yeah, Debbie Doobs is saying they need to meet on neutral ground. This is kind of, if you've ever done business, and I need to be very careful what I say here because this could get me blocked. I can't even say it. I'm too scared to tell you what Debbie Doobs, I'm too scared to get the live stream blocked. All I'm going to say is I'm going to try and use code. If you've ever done business in certain parts of the world, you know how they operate. And the problem is, I would say no Western politicians have ever done business in that part of the world. So they don't understand how these things work. You know, literally, you have got to cross every T and dot every I, because some people, and listen, guys, if I get banned from the live stream again, I'm triple streaming. We're over on YouTube. I'll continue the live stream on YouTube and X, but I don't think this is going to get me banned. If I say some people are sneaky, no, I'm still on. Good. Listen, guys, the algorithm is absolutely, it's very difficult, the algorithm on TikTok to work through. Dave McIntosh, thank you for your subscription. Thank you, buddy. Dave McIntosh, subscribe for the first time. Dave, welcome. I hope you are going to be a powerful contributor to this channel. I really do. Listen, guys, we are talking about an emergency situation in Ukraine right now. The rhetoric is building up. Vladimir Putin is threatening to strike foreign troops in Ukraine. I'm not making that up. That's the headline from Sky News. So you guys can't get me done for fake news. Coral Reefing is saying Russia have probably sent more missiles and drones than NATO combined in Iraq and Afghan, I reckon. So I was talking about this before. I do need to start doing standalone videos on YouTube because I am missing a lot of stuff. Like last night, I had loads of stuff to get through, but it just when you're doing a live stream, you know, you're dealing with the chat and you're talking to people and the conversation goes differently, so you miss a lot of the critical issues. So I am going to have to start doing the YouTube videos. We were talking about drone warfare, how the manufacturing capacity in Russia has now it's just going, guys. It's only going one way, and that's forwards. Whereas here in the West, red tape, bureaucracy, it's just holding us back. So now we're in this very peculiar situation where, well, and I've said this a long time, we're in this peculiar situation where we're going to see, right, which one wins? The best technology that's built with the most expensive components under the best conditions, or mass. I'm going to go with mass. I am, guys. I'm going to go with mass. I'm not seeing this conflict in Europe right now as a win for NATO without the United States. I'm not seeing that, guys, as it is now. Yesterday on the live stream, we were talking. I called it actually yesterday on the live stream. If you guys can remember, I was saying, look, these migrants that are coming to the United Kingdom, they are a military force. There's no way around it now, guys. These guys are a military force. There's a lot of things behind the scenes why I'm saying that as well. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, I really don't. But you know, when you start putting these things all together and you start making these connections, it really does only seem to be going one way. Anyway, guys, let me jump up and get these. Let me get these comments. Just a second. I need to press some buttons on the screen because I think is that coming down? Yes. Right. Done that one. Debbie Doobs is saying it's okay for him to have Koreans, though. Well, if you see Debbie Doobs, the Russians are saying that there's no Koreans actually in Ukraine. Sharon is saying you need moderators to control the chat on the night lives. It's crazy, isn't it, chat? You know, it's crazy. I'm fine. I can control it. You know, I've got my security qualifications. Yeah. Again, Sharon's right. So Sharon here is saying. Hang on. Cut off. I've cut off again. I've cut off. Right, let me have some coffee. Let me caffeinate myself. So Sharon is saying, well, wherever Sharon was, Sharon's comment was saying, yeah, this is one of the things I was going to talk about the other day, like I think yesterday or maybe today. But remember when Trump was doing his surprise announcement? One of the things I said is I think he's going to announce that they're moving they're changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Now, doesn't seem like a big deal. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's a massive signal that the United States are getting ready for war. Debbie Doobs is saying same difference. Koreans not in Ukraine, NATO troops not in Russia. Jim Prothero is saying good morning. What have I missed? Oh, Jim Prothero, we have been talking about the massive escalations that are happening right now on the Eastern Front. Debbie Doobs is saying, I think war time Apophis comes. Yeah, so Debbie's making a reference there to Apophis, the Apophis, the asteroid that's on its way here. Sharon is saying, it's good to hear you talking about, right, it's gone. The chat keeps going. I don't know why the chat keeps going on YouTube, TikTok, right? When you hear that noise, guys, that's the chat going on. That's the system blocking. Right, guys, listen, I am streaming on YouTube, on X as well. If it keeps going on TikTok, you know, if it keeps going, this live stream will be updated and it will be kept on. I'm live now on YouTube as well. So if you want to jump over there, guys, the signal seems to be more stable. It does always happen when I seem to be talking about things that are particularly sensitive. Candy Rocks is saying, keep fit and healthy and alert in these uncertain times. Yeah, like I can't express enough how much personal fitness matters in every aspect of your life. Snowdrops is saying Lee Anderson in response to what we were talking about, David Lammy. CC Outdoors is saying good morning, planet Earth, and good morning. Isn't that a song by Duran Duran? I think it is. Debbie Doobs is saying, welcome to the family, Dave. And Dave Matakitosh is saying, thank you. UK Veterans is saying, when you're doing a live, no plan survives the first contact. Yeah, it doesn't. Sharon is saying, I had to click to say I would like this live this morning before it would let me on. That's interesting. I don't know, guys. Listen, I am triple streaming. We are on YouTube. We are on X. And we are on TikTok, of course. Listen, guys, the crux of this live stream is emergency update, Ukraine, World War WW3. I've got to be careful what I say. Vladimir Putin's come out and he said, well, I'll tell you exactly what he said as per Sky News, so I don't get clicked off for giving fake news. Ukraine war latest. Putin threatens to strike foreign troops. Now, look, guys, and you've got to understand that's fair game, I think, for Putin to say this. Remember what I always say, guys, okay? If you avoid war at all costs, but if you're in a war, try to win that at all costs. And like I'm being in part, obviously, you know, I'm Team West, I'm Team NATO, if that's even a thing. And I kind of wish I hadn't have said that then, because you should be Team Peace. I live in the West, I live in NATO, so of course I don't want to be overrun. I don't want to have to be on the L side. If you're in the East, you know, I want to be, you know, as objective and tell you guys where these things are going, because right now, guys, I'm not seeing a W for NATO minus the United States. Right, lots of people are saying that the signal's unstable. Guys, listen, I am streaming on YouTube. We are streaming on X, so if you guys want to go and click over there, that's fine. Right. Also, just as another quick one, you know, again, I'm coming back to migration here and the United Kingdom. You'll see why in a second. So, what's going on there? Right. So this is an article. I was watching a video last night of, I don't know if any of you guys follow him on YouTube. Neil, I think he's Neil Patrick Ward. No, Neil McCoy Ward, I think, or Neil Ward McCoy. Neil McCoy Ward or Neil Ward McCoy. I can't remember. He was saying, so this is weird. So he did a video. I watched it yesterday. I don't know when it was published. And he says on that video, 150,000 migrants have gone missing. So 150,000, that's a lot. That's like almost twice as many soldiers as we have in the military, in the army. So I did a Google search. I was trying to find the article. So I asked AI, I said, 150,000 migrants go missing in the UK. I'll probably do a video on it on TikTok, actually. And I took a screenshot of it. AI said, there is no credible information that 150,000 migrants have gone missing in the UK. And then literally underneath it, the first news article was 150 ministers lose track of 150,000 migrants. So like clearly AI is, I don't know, maybe AI is lying, or maybe AI is trying to push an agenda, or maybe AI just didn't see that as credible information. But look, guys, this is from an article from the Telegraph in, where was it, 10th of August. So it is a while back. Ministers lose track of 150,000 migrants. Government admits it has no idea how many foreign workers remain in the UK. Ministers have lost track of more than 150 migrants who have come to the UK on social care visas. So I don't know what these exact numbers are, guys, but I would say that there is a good amount of people who are just off the system. Like, for example, you know, if you're in a hotel and you don't want to be in a hotel, what do you think they're doing? Do you think they're leaving, or do you think they're staying? And we are going to come to a stage pretty soon in the UK where people will be claiming that they've been living in Woodland for 10 years, and they're going to start claiming adverse possession of that. They're going to be claiming adverse possession of that woodland. So, you know, we are going to be giving masses of land to these people. It's going to be phenomenal, guys. It really is. That is coming, and it's just one of the things I've been speaking about. And I saw it on a video yesterday, and nobody's putting these things. Nobody is putting these two things together at the moment. Coral Reef is saying, it says unstable connection. UK Veterans is saying, I think it's TikTok, not you with the signal. AI is censored. When in a hotel, if they're out for 7 days, they just remove their room, nothing else. Yeah, so like, where are these people going? And look, guys, I don't know the numbers here. I don't know the numbers here, but I would speculate there are big numbers that leave those hotels, go to live with friends, go to live with family, go to live on the, working on the black market. So I don't know where these people are going. I don't know where these people are going. And I think that is I think that's going to be the argument. As we move forwards, I think that's going to be the argument. And this is going to bring in that digital ID and that digital. And again, when all this happens and there's chaos and carnage, it's a lot easier to push things through. But look, guys, I want to keep on track. The crux of this live stream. Ukraine war latest. In fact, let me refresh this screen because there was an update a minute ago. Give me a second. Right, Ukraine war latest. Putin threatens to strike foreign troops in Ukraine as he issues. Oh, and there's been another one here. So 2 minutes ago, guys, 2 minutes ago. Yeah, 2 minutes ago, there's just been an update. Give me a second. Putin, it's not really much. Putin enjoys one of his best weeks. Yeah, all right. I'm not sure why that's relevant. It's been one of not relevant. Oh, so here we are, guys. Something I've said for a while. Can you guys remember? Oh, hey, right. We have got some stuff here, guys. We have got some stuff I can give commentary on. So remember back in and I know I did YouTube when I did a standalone video on this. Remember, I don't know, way back before when Donald Trump was saying wow, October, yeah, wow, guys. October, almost a year ago. Wow, hasn't that gone quickly? I was saying in October last year, I was saying, no, Donald Trump is not going to have peace in Ukraine. I understand the culture. I understand the ground. I understand the weapon systems. I understand the tactics. I understand the strategy on both sides. I understand the Eastern strategies, or for you guys, the Eastern strategies, and I understand the Western strategies. I understand the diplomatic process. And that's why I was able to say, no, that's not happening. Who was right, ladies and gentlemen? Was I right saying that Donald Trump wasn't going to have peace in Ukraine? Or were all the mainstream media outlets who are saying Donald Trump's going to have peace in Ukraine in 24 hours before he's even inaugurated? He's going to do it real quick with one phone call. Who was right? Of course I was right. Anyway, sorry. So analysts, almost a year later, now this is from Sky News, analysts now agree he seems to have hoodwinked President Trump and team in Alaska the whole question of security guarantees. This is what people don't understand. People don't understand that culture, and it winds me up something crackers, guys. It just sends me absolutely crackers. People don't understand. If you don't understand history, you are doomed to repeat it. And this is the problem, we get these half-baked, well, I'd say quarter-baked Western politicians going over there with their Western eyes, trying to deal with people that they're out of their depth with. And you know what? They don't care. They're only there for 4 years. They're worried about their next house. Anyway. Trump's officials returned claiming the Russian leader made a major concession, agreeing to NATO Article 5 style guarantees for a post-war Ukraine. So look, guys, just first of all, I've done lots of videos on NATO Article 5. I've said many, if there's any questions on NATO Article 5, just put them in the chat and I'll try and answer them. But NATO Article 5 is no guarantee of security. None. I would argue it's not worth the paper it's written on. And I was saying to some really prominent UK politicians, I was saying, listen, mate, NATO Article 5's worthless. And they're saying, oh, Sean, come on, really. NATO Article 5 has been the backbone of British security since 1948. NATO Article 5 will stand and people are terrified of it. That's why it's there. I was like, oh, stop. Have you read it? Yes, of course I've read it. An attack on one NATO member is deemed an attack on all NATO members. Yeah? Have you read the rest? People don't read the rest, the NATO Article 5, it goes on. It's not worth the paper it's written on, guys. All right. I believe there will be an issue at some point. NATO Article 5 will be tested, and people will flim-flam it, and nothing will happen. But anyway, so Trump officials claimed that the Russian leader had made a concession. He hadn't. In reality, I told you, literally, they're using the exact words I spoke about here, guys. The exact words. Like, I can't, like, honestly, like, I've said these exact words that the mainstream are repeating now. He hadn't. In reality, he reviewed an idea going back to Ukraine-Russia talks in 2022 that would give Moscow the veto over such guarantees. So this is what I said. Literally, I've said this in so many live streams. I've said, this is what's going to happen. You know, the people will give they'll say, right, can you give the Russians will say, yes, can you give us the paperwork? We want this, but we need to review ideas and then obviously make strategic review and come back with counter proposal. You know, literally they're saying this is the exact same thing here, guys. Phenomenal. Anyway, that's what's happening at the moment, guys, with the Ukraine front. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let me get the rest of these comments. I'm going to start to close this down now. Right, where are we? We've done that one. So UK veterans, I think listen, guys. I want to come back onto the global sphere. We have been, we have really been blasting the migration problem in the UK. I want to kind of not switch focus. I want to incorporate back what's happening in the world, because right now the media is so fixated on like these small issues, like Angela Rayner's council tax bill she dodged. I mean, it was like 40 grand. Like in the grand scheme of things, 40 grand's nothing. It's like, it's a camera for a gimbal, not even a good camera. Well, like a standard camera for a gimbal on a drone. And these things are getting blown up all the time. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not much. I don't know why it's getting as much media coverage as it is. It shouldn't be, as far as I'm concerned. The real coverage should be on what's happening in Eastern Europe right now, because we are going to be sleepwalking into this. And all of a sudden, we're all going to be fixated on what's happening with Angela Rayner and her trousers and her big shoes. That, there's going to be a big announcement where they say, oh, yeah, wasn't you listening? And we're like, well, yeah, but we were looking at the mainstream. UK veterans is, however, because he's put it, I will say it, he's saying migrants are getting moved around from hotels to hotels. They are doing it to tour the UK to get where they want. I don't know the answer to this question, but it's a serious question. Like, if you're a migrant, can you just go into any hotel and have your dinner? Or do you have to be can you only go to one hotel? Or is it like, is it like a fitness world chain where if you're registered at one hotel, you can have your dinner at any hotel? I don't know how that works. I really don't. Debbie is saying it's all part of the same plan, distracting us from what is happening. Right, guys, let me just let me just refresh this screen, because I do want to keep coming back to this. Putin tells Zelensky, please come to Moscow for talks. I don't know. Does that sound like Putin's trolling Zelensky? Does that sound like Putin's trolling Zelensky? And look, guys, I have heard this a lot of time. There's a lot of initially the Russians were throwing it out there saying that Zelensky is not the I want to say prime minister, is not the president. Now, look, guys, whatever you think about that situation, let me just ask you this question real quick. So the argument is, the Ukrainians are saying, well, Zelensky's saying, we can't have an election because we're in a war. And then the, people around the world are saying, well, do you know what? America had elections and we was in the war. Did Britain have elections? I think Britain may. I'm ashamed. I should know this. But I know the Americans have been saying, you know, we didn't have. Sorry, I know the Americans are saying we ran elections in the Second World War. It's part of democracy. It's just what you need to do. Okay, fine. Let's just dissect what democracy means. Democracy means people get to choose who's in charge of them. Okay, right? Okay, what do we mean? So everybody gets a choice. And if you don't give everybody the choice, it's not democracy. So let me ask you this real quick. And again, it's totally your opinion's your opinion. If your country, you could argue like maybe an eighth of Ukraine has been taken. Let's just say a quarter, just for argument's sake. Let's say 25% of your country. It's less, but let's just say 25% of Ukraine is under occupation. So those people can't vote because like there's Russian tanks cruising around. A lot of your people are displaced in Europe because they've left as refugees. And all your young men are on the front line. How do you have that vote? And it's a serious question, guys. I see what both people are saying. Like, how do you have that vote? Do you just say, right, okay, Kiev and Lviv, we're going to have votes. The rest of the country, you don't get a vote. How is that democratic? How is that democracy? You see where I'm going with that, guys? Like, those places that are under occupation, how, like, does their vote not count? So that's the argument from Ukrainian side. Now, the argument from the American side is, you know, you guys should be holding elections because that's what a democratic society does. We held elections in the Second World War. The difference is there wasn't, you know, a quarter of America hadn't been taken by the Germans. And that's, you know, that's what people, like, contextually, people, oh yeah, the Americans held elections. Yeah, you did. But like a quarter of your country didn't have Russian tanks in it and the people were in occupation. So I don't know, guys, logistically, how are you going to run that? Like, are you going to ask Putin? Are you going to say, Vlad, can we just have 3 days ceasefire so I can get all the troops, get the elections in, and we can get this election done? Like, how do you think that's going to work? So I just, you know, it is what it is, guys. You know, so when people are talking about the voting in Ukraine, it doesn't, you know, it's not as cut and shut as people think. Anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to start to close this down I'm going to start to close this down now on TikTok. I will be over on YouTube for a little bit, but I do have to close this at 1 hour, ladies and gentlemen. On YouTube, I have to close it at 1 hour. I've got so much to do today. I'm so busy. Right, but the crux of this live stream is the war in Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen. It is, I believe, going to drag Europe into this. Europe have to unite. Europe have to make some difficult, really difficult decisions, guys. You know, I don't see... And look, guys, look back through what I've said. Look back through all my videos. Go back through all my videos when I'm talking about this war. I'm not seeing a W for NATO minus the United States. And that's what it's looking like this conflict is going to be. I'm not seeing a W at this point, guys. I'm really not. But listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now on TikTok. That was the crux of this video. Vladimir Putin is warning foreign troops in Ukraine will be a legal target. And that is absolutely fine. As far as I'm concerned, you know, you've got to, and that, guys, like, objectively, how can they not be a target? How can they not be a target? None of it makes sense. You know, of course they're going to be a target. And anybody who thinks that they're not, you know, you really are deluded. You really are deluded to think that you're not going to be a target. I'll say what I always say. All wars should be avoided. Everyone, they're all senseless. Like, each and every war is senseless. Nobody really wins. You just have a loser and a bigger loser. So all wars should be avoided. If you're in a war, you should do everything you can to get that W. And that's unfortunately what we're getting dragged into at the moment. Because I would say, and I believe, that we have a political class. Well, do you know what? I'm going to leave that. I'm going to close it. I'm going to give you the, I'm going to tell you what the Russians are saying about David Lammy, and then we'll close this down. So according to the Russians, according to the Russian spokesman, David Lammy is the English idiot. And he's the guy who's going out there and he's the one who is representing Britain. He is the one who's negotiating. And I would say he is vastly out of his depths. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now on YouTube, on TikTok. If you've not done so, can you hit the buttons up there on TikTok, guys? The follow buttons. Really do appreciate it when you guys do that. Welcome to the new subscribers as well. Thank you, guys. Hang on. So hang on, guys. I will close this down. Right, okay. Dave McIntosh, thank you for your subscription for the first time. Like I said, I hope you're going to be a powerful contributor to the channel. Sarah, thank you for your continued subscription, and Debbie Dubes as well. Thank you guys for subscribing on TikTok. I am going to move over now. I will be on YouTube, and then I'll be closing YouTube down as well. I will see you back later today at 8. I'm also going to start doing YouTube videos to update, because I am missing a lot of stuff, guys, with these live streams, because I'm literally, when I'm doing the live streams, I'm literally being a bouncer, going off topic, talking about aliens, transdimensional travel, and and I miss a lot of stuff. So I'm going to start doing the standalone videos on YouTube. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys later on this evening. And we are off. We are off. Lone Wolf Prepper. I'm going straight into this, guys. I'm straight into this. Lone Wolf Prepper is saying, I'm ex-infantry, and the only time I'm putting my boots back on is to protect Mrs. Lone Wolf. Listen, guys, a lot of people are feeling that right now. And somebody asked me the other day, Sean, would you join the military again? I genuinely, and I was struggling to give an answer to this. Ultimately, I said yes, because, looking back, you leave school at 16, you've got to look what's around, what's around right now. And like, there's nothing for kids now if they leave school, like nothing. Where's the big industry? Where's the exciting technological advancement that the United Kingdom's producing? There's not. We have international investment. We have, We have international investment. We have, look at the high streets now. You have there's no independence anymore. We need independence. We need small companies. We need small innovations. What do we have on our high streets? B&M, The Range, Home Bargains, Costa Coffee, obviously McDonald's, Burger King, Starbucks, Costa Coffee. I think I mentioned that. But every high street is becoming a carbon copy now. There's no identity. There's no soul in our towns anymore. When I go to Kiev, the first thing I notice is the soul that city has. You hardly get any of, there's none of these big chains and these big supermarkets, that are dominated. Yes, of course, you have Fora, you have Billa, Epicenter, those places. But there's lots of independent restaurants and people doing things like smaller businesses. And that's what drives an economy. That's what drives technology. That's what drives innovation. So going back to the question, that a lot of people are asking me, a lot of people, are asking me, Sean, would you join the military again if you had the chance? Yes is the answer. I would. Still, I still feel that's the best for me anyway. If I was to leave school right now, I still feel that would be the best direction of travel for me. But I'm not. I hate saying, but the world is totally different right now to when I joined the military. I mean, I joined the military in '99. Not much was happening, there was Northern Ireland, Kenya, Oman. And then September the 11th happened and kaboom, we had 20 years of conflict. I do feel that something like that is on its way, guys. I really do. Two sides is saying they both want to get into a room and sort it out themselves and not get innocent people involved. I agree, I agree. Two sides. It's unbelievable. War is old men talking and young men dying. That's what it is, guys. And that's a quote from what's the film with Brad Pitt where he's like a Troy, that's from Troy. So yeah, I totally agree. All this energy and this hostility. Look, we have got eyes in the front of our heads. We are, we are apex predators, explorers, pioneers, engineers. We need to be pursuing something. We need to be chasing something. We need to be working towards something. Unfortunately, we're working towards war, which is not a good thing. I said all the time, we need to be working towards going into space, exploring the cosmos, taking the near infinite resources, that's just lying in asteroids, the energy of the sun, because we could make a utopia for ourselves. We could make an absolute utopia for ourselves, but we don't do that. The Watchman is saying, if Zelensky went to Moscow, he would be arrested or worse. Talks to be made on neutral ground. Absolutely, talks need to be held on neutral ground. I think America will be the perfect spot. But, what we're seeing is this, this refusal, I guess, this refusal for dialogue. If anybody's had to do any work in that part of the world and negotiate with that type, with that culture, you've just got to understand it, and you've got to understand, and you've got to clarify every different meaning, every different meaning of those words. Like I can remember back in 2014, when the little green men annexed Crimea, and it was blatantly Russian soldiers, blatantly, they were in Russian military uniform. They had AK-74s, they had Russian trucks, and Vladimir Putin was saying, no, there are no regular Russian troops in Crimea. And then the world's media was going, so who are they? Who are these troops that came over that mysteriously appeared in Crimea? Who are these? Who are they? Oh, well, it's not the... I was like, are you guys for real right now? The initial question should have been, because if any of those reporters that have had half a brain cell, they'd have said, okay, Vladimir, if there's no regular Russian troops in Ukraine, in Crimea, do you have any special forces in Ukraine? Because that's what they were, that's clearly a special forces operation. It's all crazy, guys. You've got to understand smoke and mirrors. You've got to understand that culture. And unfortunately, people don't understand. People don't understand that. People don't understand that culture. The Watchman is saying he doesn't want peace. He wants Ukraine. You've got to understand. Again, you've got to understand. Like, if you don't understand history, you're doomed to repeat it. So I don't know if you guys know or not, but Kiev is the birthplace of Russia. So first there was Kiev Rus, and then Kiev became Kiev, and then Rus became Russia. Obviously, Russia's a lot bigger now; it expanded. But Kiev is the spiritual birthplace of Russia. So, of course, if you look, you've got to look back through history. You've got to look at the Soviet Union. You've got to understand how old Vladimir Putin was when he was at his impressionable age. You've got to understand what was happening in the world at that time, and what shaped Vladimir Putin's ideology. And yes, of course, that is, of course. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to go now. I've got lots to do. I am going to start putting standalone videos on YouTube. So if you're on and you've not done so already, please hit that subscribe button down below. That really helps me out, and the bell notification, because like I said, I am going to have to start putting standalone videos on YouTube, because like at night time especially, the chat goes wild and I don't get through half of what I want to say. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now, and I'll see you guys later.